Sometimes to understand the big picture, you have to zoom way in. We're going to do just that by looking at one single week in February 2026. It's a week that tells an incredible story about a nation being pulled in two completely different directions, all at the same time.
So, the week of February 16th kicked off with a holiday. But trust me, it was anything but quiet. This timeline really sets the stage. You've got this major government shutdown grinding on at home, while at the exact same moment, a huge new global project is getting off the ground. It's a real study in contrasts.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll set the scene. What was the mood in the country economically and politically? Then we'll dive deep into that shutdown at Homeland Security. After that, we'll look at this new, ambitious Board of Peace. And finally, we'll tie it all together to see what it tells us.
Okay, let's get right into it. To really get why these events mattered so much, we first need to kind of take the temperature of the country. What was the vibe? What were people feeling at this exact moment?
Well, on the money front, there was some genuinely good news. After what felt like forever with high prices, the newest numbers showed inflation was continuing to cool off, down to 2.4%. For families across the country, that meant their paychecks were finally starting to stretch a little further, a much-needed bit of breathing room.
But here's the thing. That economic relief was running smack into a wall of political tension. I mean, with the 2026 midterms just around the corner, the mood was anything but calm. It was charged, it was polarized, and it was getting hotter by the day.
And a brand new poll from The Economist and YouGov really put some hard numbers on that feeling. It showed Democrats pulling ahead with a 7-point lead in who folks wanted in Congress. That's the biggest lead they'd had since 2024. And this wasn't just some abstract number. This division was about to have some very real, very immediate consequences. And that leads us directly to our first huge story, which is just a perfect example of that political division. A partial but incredibly critical government shutdown.
So just a few days before, on Valentine's Day of all days, Congress just couldn't agree on a funding bill for the Department of Homeland Security. Now, this wasn't a shutdown of the entire government, but a targeted stop for one of its most essential departments, the very one at the center of a huge national debate.
So you have to ask, what does that actually mean? What are the real effects on the ground when a department this important, handling everything from airport security to the border, suddenly has its funding switched off because of political gridlock?
And when you look at who falls under this DHS umbrella, the scope is just staggering. We are talking about the TSA agents at the airport, FEMA getting ready for disasters, the Secret Service, and of course the agencies right at the heart of the whole debate, ICE and CBP. Every single one of them was caught in this political crossfire.
And this slide really breaks down the tough spot this put the workers in. The huge majority of them, about 90%, are called essential, which is basically code for you are legally required to show up for your job, but we are not legally allowed to pay you. Not until this whole thing gets sorted out anyway.
At its core, the shutdown was all about a bitter fight over immigration policy. With the midterms coming up, neither side was giving an inch, and you bet the blame game was in full swing. This headline right here, from House Republicans, shows exactly how they were framing it, accusing the other side of risking the country's safety.
Now, I want you to hold that thought, a government totally deadlocked, not even able to pay its own security agents. Because at that exact same time, on a completely different track, this massive, ambitious American-led project was making its debut on the world stage. The contrast is, wow. Enter the Board of Peace. This is a new international body, led by Donald Trump, designed to broker peace deals outside of the usual government channels. And its very first mission, to take on one of the most complex conflicts in the world, the one in Gaza.
And look, this was not just a solo U.S. project, not by a long shot. As you can see from just this sample of the 26 founding members, the board kicked off with a really diverse group of countries from all over the globe, all signaling they were on board with this new approach to diplomacy.
And here is the kicker. This whole initiative launched with some serious financial muscle. The very first meeting wasn't just for handshakes and photo ops. It was set to unveil $5 billion in pledges for reconstruction in Gaza. That's a clear signal this was about action, not just words.
Okay, so let's pull the lens back now. Because when you put these two stories, the shutdown at home and the Board of Peace abroad, right next to each other, a really powerful and, complicated picture of the country just snaps into focus.
This really is the central tension of that week, isn't it? On one side, you've got total paralysis at home, a government so divided it literally can't agree to pay its own border agents. And on the other side, you've got this incredible ambition abroad, a new global effort to solve other countries' problems. This isn't just a random coincidence. It really shows a nation wrestling with itself, grappling with two totally different ideas of what power and strength even mean. Is it being able to manage your own house and keep the lights on? Or is it being able to project your influence across the globe, even if things at home are messy?
At the end of the day, that 1 week in February 2026 gives us this incredible snapshot of America at a crossroads. It captures a nation showing huge ambition on the world stage, while at the same time struggling with the very divisions that threaten how it functions day to day. The challenge, it seems, wasn't a lack of power, but a deep, fundamental disagreement on how and where that power should be used.